everybody, my name is Benaisha Poole Watson, and this is my beautiful co-host, Jewel Tankard, and you are watching The Wealth Chat. And today, we have an amazing filmmaker, Ric Mathis, in the building.
Yes! So excited to have you, brother.
Hey, it's great to be here. First off, thanks for having me on The Wealth Chat, talking about business, banking, and real estate.
Yeah. You're doing your thing right now. We've done quite a few projects together, and he's always been a strong proponent of supporting black business. And of course, Benaisha owns our own bank, which we're really proud of. And you've been a real pioneer to help, bring awareness to the community. But recently, you just did a project with Boyce Watkins. I was a part of that. A lot of other influencers were a part of that. Talk about what made you guys even dive into that.
Man, well, shout out to my partner, Boyce Watkins, and the whole entire crew that helped to make this film possible. Jewel Tankard, we got Queen of Four, we have Dr. Boyce Watkins, Dr. Claude Anderson. We have a host of people that are in this film. And basically, it's a conversation. The film is called B1 the Movie. And really, it's a conversation around what we need to do as black people to start putting us first. Yeah. For so many years, we put other people first. And you look at from building this nation to nurturing the babies to all of that. We've done that. Now it's time we put us first. And it has nothing to do with, any shade or anything on other people. It's time for us to put us first because we've given so much to other people. But now it's time for us to put us first. And that's the true way that we're going to build wealth. Business is a team sport. So we're taught as black people, to go out and try to conquer the world and do business as individuals and by ourselves. But when you look at the Rockefeller family, you know what I'm saying? When you look at the DuPont family, the Vanderbilt family, when you look at those families, they did it as a team. It wasn't one person going out building wealth. So I'm happy to have this conversation about the Wealth Chat.
Yeah.
This is so...
Yeah.
I mean, we watched the trailer before we started, right?
Yeah.
And it just put me in a different mindset. I wasn't feeling like that before. But now I'm feeling touched. I feel sad that it took so long for us to get to this conversation. We talk about it amongst our households and each other, amongst our network, but when you make it a big national, worldwide conversation, that's when you affect change. And if we get on one accord, man, this will be something that can change the dynamics of our people and our culture. And I live in that, and so I'm just really emotional right now, even though we're supposed to be, talking to you. I feel what can I do to support this mission? Oh my God, we have to have that conversation. But going back in your history in filmmaking, I mean, you've done a lot. We all watch Def Poetry Jam, and you were a managing talent scout, right? You brought the talent to the show.
Yeah, so I was responsible. I started out writing poetry back in 96, 97, and I had the opportunity to manage several of the poets that was on HBO's Def Poetry, and one in particular that went on to be on the HBO's Def Poetry on Broadway show. Shout out to Georgia Me. And from there, we toured the world, literally, going to Australia, going to Africa. It started out at the Aspen Film Festival in Aspen, Colorado. And from there, once that tour was complete, I was like, well, what's the next chapter? How do we take this energy, bottle it, and take it to the next level? Well, at that time, I happened to be learning about the internet. That's when when we had dial-up with AOL, and it sounded like you was going on the beach when you got online. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
And then it was a little
crunchy,
and you was online.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. Once this can handle the bandwidth for video, it's gonna be out of sight.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the lane. So I said, let me produce a film with poets who I have relationships with already, and we're gonna put this online. I knew we weren't gonna be able to do it then, but I was, thinking forward.
Yeah.
So we produced a poetry series called Word, and Word included everybody from CeeLo Green to who else we had? The Last Poets, Amiri Baraka. Who else was in there? Was it Nikki Giovanni? It may have been Nikki Giovanni or it was another female poet. I forgot, it's been a while. But it's been almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like 97, right? 98?
Well, when we did that piece, that was around 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I started in 97.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then you did something else that I was a part of Black Friday,
so then,
right?
so then you come,
Okay.
forward.
Yeah.
That was just the first project.
Okay.
So then you come forward, and I produced Black Friday, because when I did the poetry, I didn't know how to shoot. I didn't know how to edit. I went and did a partnership with the Emmy Award-winning producer, and we produced the Word Poetry DVD series. But my first project where I lunched and I went out on my own was the film Black Friday, which Jewel was a part of. Man, that was amazing. Like we did a national and international tour with that film. We did several
we went to
dates.
DC.
Yeah.
Okay, so it turned into a play too, right?
Not that one.
Okay, that was a different one.
So when we did that, like that was amazing. Like we had an all-star cast, everybody from Jewel Tankard to Cynthia Bailey to who else? We had Hill Harper,
Les
David
Brown.
Banner, Les Brown. We had a host of people in there, man, and that really just kind of cemented my myself as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So what's next? What's your vision?
So the vision now is we currently have B1. This is a shirt here, and B1 simply means Black First. The film is the Code of Blackness, and again, what we're doing is we're having conversation around what we need to do in order to put Black people first. So the question is, what is it going to take for Black people to get on code and put Black people first?
Yeah.
No other race has to ask that question. So it has nothing to do with other races. It's a question or a conversation that we need to have in the back room amongst ourselves.
That's good. Benaisha, you just did an event with Jamal Bryant. I think you guys were having similar conversation, right?
Yes. We're all having the same conversation. We just have to have it together.
Yeah.
And maybe we can have that conversation when we premiere the film in August. August the 17th through the 20th, we're doing a 4-day experience right up the street from Jamal Bryant's church at the New Black Wall Street.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome. Okay, so let's go backwards.
So,
I want to go back to you growing up. Is it Valdosta?
So I was born in Valdosta. My mom moved us here when I was 14, moved us to Atlanta, and went to Frederick Douglass High School.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about Doug High, but Doug High is the school of greatness.
Okay.
We have so many amazing people that came out of Frederick Douglass High School, from Killer Mike to T.I. to Keisha Lance Bottoms to Michael Julian Bond to Marvin Arrington Jr.
Wow.
Like, we got a host of people. Frederick Douglass was built as a school of excellence. Our principal, Dr. Samuel Hill, every morning he would come on the mic, and he had his own little special way of coming on before he came on. And if you went to Doug, you knew. First thing Dr. Hill did was blew on the microphone.
Oh my God, that is so awesome.
But his thing was he wanted excellence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so the thing about going to high school in Atlanta, I tell people that Atlanta is the promised land. There's no other city like Atlanta. I've traveled the country. I've traveled
Detroit
the world.
a little bit tall.
Detroit.
Don't forget LA. Don't forget LA. No.
And I'm gonna tell you why. No shade on LA, but when I moved to Atlanta from Valdosta is a predominantly white city, small town, right, with about 100,000 people. We're known for football. The Wildcats is Wintersville. The Wildcats won the state championship almost every year. So it was a lot of white people. We had white police chief, white mayor, white superintendent. So I moved from there to Atlanta.
Right.
Right? Moved to Atlanta, we got a black mayor, a black police chief, a black fire chief, a black superintendent. And then I go to Frederick Douglass High School, and we 99% black.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Driven with excellence.
And driven with excellence. So therefore, now going to school in Atlanta, what that does is that gives you a sense of pride of your blackness. For so many years, a lot of times, as black people, we suppress the blackness.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm here to tell you to be proud of your blackness.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We are amazing.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
So when I went to Frederick Douglass High School, that instilled something in me, and it instilled a sense of pride and a sense of greatness, because not only is the school that way, but you have a city that has a history of legacy.
Yeah.
From your Martin Luther King to your C.T. Vivian. You know what I'm saying? All of these people that have done these amazing things, not just in Atlanta, but that have reached out to the world.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it gave me a sense of pride in it, and it allowed me to walk in a way of confidence that is unlike anything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this conversation is so good. But listen, we have to take a break really quick, and we're going to come back and dig deeper into how you became who you are, going back to when you used to write poetry. How did you get into that space? Listen, guys, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Well Chat, where we're sitting here talking to our brother Ric Mathis, film writer, producer, doing his thing. And she was asking you, as we close out, to talk about the poetry piece. But I have to chime in on this a little bit, because when you were talking about Atlanta and all the people that, Frederick Douglass High School produced, and how you guys made local impact and national impact, I feel very similar about Detroit. We had a black mayor. I think we had the first black mayor in the nation, Mayor Coleman Young, who was a complete force and was very vocal about equality, and he helped a lot of entrepreneurs, including my parents, really get on the map. The police chief, the superintendent, and you had so many black entrepreneurs that were so progressive and so supportive. And, the civil rights movement started there. And then, of course, you had Motown. So you had all this, immense sense of black pride, that I was happy to be a black woman. I was happy to be from the city of Detroit. And even when I go back now, I was telling people my experience, if I see, guys out, I don't feel afraid. There's this sense of protection, okay, if he in the room, I don't even know him. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be good. You get that. And I was asking somebody from Chicago, they was like, no, we don't feel that when we see brothers.
Right.
But Detroit definitely gives that. But so to your point, I think it's important, which I want to talk after you did with the poetry thing. We were talking about when you're successful in Black today and you're raising children. Of course, we all want to give our children more than what we had. But it's a fine line, because if you live in the suburbs and they go to private schools, then their exposure to Black excellence probably becomes minimal outside of what they see in their house. So I think that's a whole nother conversation for Black people that have, really kind of done well for themselves. So, but talk a little bit about what Benaisha was saying as we close out. How did you even get started in poetry?
Man, so let's go back. So in '96, I started studying metaphysics. And from studying metaphysics and reading books and, going to classes and things like that, I got this bug to write, so I started out just kind of journaling at first. And then I wrote my first poem, Who Am I? And then from there, and that was like a short piece, and then from there, it just grew longer and longer. And I started going to poetry spots around the Atlanta area and connecting with other poets, that was amazing and doing some amazing things, whom, if I say some of the names now, you will know who they are. And that's how I got into it. But at the end of the day, it's all storytelling. Mm-hmm. My spiritual dad, Les Brown, really taught me the art of storytelling, because I started out writing poetry, I produced some films, but recently I really during COVID, I really had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him and really get the secret sauce. You know, he makes, 6 figures for teaching people how to tell their story.
Yes.
You know, so
a whole nother level. Just 5 minutes with him will change your life.
Yeah, so I got to spend like days and days and days and days with him. But one of the things that really stood out is, with storytelling, you want to go an inch wide and a mile deep. So in this particular documentary, you'll see that. You'll see how we're pulling back the layers of putting black first, from touching on health, touching on relationships, touching on black love, like all of the things that we need to have conversation around and put some type of practical solutions in place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you just look at health, I've been vegetarian for 20 plus years. People say, well, how did you do it? I cut out beef and pork at first, and then I cut out the chicken and fish. But I always tell people, when you start, you have to start at your own pace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you've been going and you haven't had any meat in 2 or 3 days, and you have a craving for some meat, eat a small piece to satisfy that craving. So we have to have practical solutions. So that's what we really apply in this film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful. Black Wall Street. Ben went, have you been? I haven't
Yes,
had
beautiful.
a chance to go. Ben called, he was like, girl.
It's an experience.
He got a chance to hang out with the owner for the day.
Bill Allen.
Okay, right. So I can't wait to come in August for the premiere. You got to be there, girl.
Yeah.
But talk about why having this film there is so important, and what does this look like for people that are watching?
And that's a great question, because I had the opportunity to have the film at a theater, at one of the major theaters here, and I even went and looked and said, okay, are we going to do this film here? But I think if we're talking about putting black first, it has to be at a black-owned establishment, because we need to have that conversation there. You know what I'm saying? And what the New Black Wall Street stands for and what they've built there, it's the perfect place to have it, the perfect venue to have it there. Yeah. So that's why we had to have it at the New Black Wall Street.
Now, for the people who don't know, are we talking about the New Black Wall Street in Tulsa?
No, we're talking about the New Black Wall Street in Stonecrest, Georgia.
Okay, make it known.
Metro Atlanta.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about. So, which happens to be, by the way, the second largest black community in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, right behind Prince George.
Yeah.
Stonecrest, Georgia is the second largest,
Wow.
the richest. You know what I'm saying?
Black?
I did not know
black.
that.
Yeah. And that's a new city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be Lithonia, but But look it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How do you think black entrepreneurs are doing now? I mean, I feel like there's this huge emergence. We obviously have a lot on the show that mind-blowing testimonies of what people are doing. Do you feel like we all kind of know what's happening? What do you think the state of black entrepreneurs is right now?
Yeah, so I think that there's an excitement and there's a boom and a renaissance with black entrepreneurship. That's the good thing. So the thing that I feel there's a need for is to be properly structured and have the proper business etiquette. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody can go, have a LLC. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's, and now I have a business. Now I'm in business. But what about the proper etiquette? You know what I'm saying? When you have a situation, in business, how do you handle that situation? How do you cater to the customer? So that's the part that I think we need to work on. And also just working as a group and as a team. Because again, business is a team sport.
I feel like they're a lot more supporting one another. What do you, you own in a bank. Do you feel like...
And I'm not saying
I did the deep sigh.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're not supporting, but just learning how to work together.
Yes.
No, I get it.
I think that we are getting there. We got a little bit of way to go. But if we all, I remember one time I was out in the ocean. They were getting ready to go scuba diving, and I jumped in the water. Now I don't know how to swim, guys. I jumped in the water. The rope leads you out, right? I followed the crowd, but the rope ends. They throw the rope out, but once the rope ends, that's when everybody goes out and they snorkel, whatever they're doing, right? Not scuba dive, snorkel. And I couldn't swim, so by the time I got out there and the rope ended, I was like, oh, I got to go back. So I turned around and I did like this. I think that's where we are. Like, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're if we all jump in the water and connect ourselves and follow the rope, you know, we'll get there. You just got to know how to swim first. Don't just jump out there and expose yourself to something you're not ready yet. Take time to understand. And then eventually we'll all go, and we're going to just be a big ocean of people out there just seeing a whole new world. If you've ever scuba dived and you put these goggles on and you have this thing where you can breathe and you look in the ocean, you see clear water if you're in the islands or wherever. It's blue, there's yellow fish, green fish, blue fish, shark fish, all kind of stuff in there you see on TV but you've never seen in person. I think that's where we are in our metaphorically in our culture, in our community. We're starting to put the goggles on, we're starting to see something, and we're starting to be exposed to something we never knew existed. We heard about it, we saw it on TV, but now we're experiencing it with our own two eyes. We don't have to touch the fish to get exposed to it. All you got to do is see it. Your mind will change, blown away when you see another structure, sand down to the end of nowhere. You never forget that experience. So I think that's where we are going that was amazing. Wasn't that good? I did that. Okay. But I think that's where we are, and I feel so excited. I feel so excited for you. I feel so excited for what you're bringing to the table for us. The legacy of what you will leave in this world with this film will change the trajectory. I always use that word trajectory, so don't, you know what I'm saying? Y'all listen. I say trajectory and I say bankable. Y'all gonna get these words. But you're gonna change history for us. You're like, to me, this is like sitting with Martin Luther King. No, seriously, because, you know, anyone who's trying to make an impact for us that rises above the cream, right? Absolutely. And now we're paying attention to you. Absolutely. And, you know, you leave something that we won't, now we've been exposed, we've seen something. And so now it's on us to say, okay, what are we going to do with this information that am I going to share it with my friends? Y'all need to come see this. Boom. Now they see it, and now we change. So it's amazing. And the fact that I'm going to go back, I used to write, you wrote, and I feel like creatively when you're in that space, you think your mind is just different. When you're a creative writer, the things that people don't think exist.
You live in the world of imagination.
It's complete imagination, right? So nothing is off limits.
Exactly.
Nothing is off limits. And so when you have that mindset, you can now expose so much, even if it's made up and it sounds crazy. I wrote this story called Thum Thum Thatis. I don't even know what that is. But like Thum Thum Thatis was like a person and he did all this stuff. He was like a hood person, but he was smart. So like you're like the creative element of like the Thum Thum Thatis, something that didn't exist, but now it's like, wow, this is amazing.
But see, the thing is too, when you live in the world of imagination, everything is possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the world of imagination, for me, I created this character known as Ric Mathis.
Yes.
And Ric Mathis is this character that's an amazing storyteller that uses film to deliver these messages and to pull his people out of this sunken place, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So I call myself, you know, the documentary king. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by the documentary king, and what I mean by, thank you, and what I mean by the documentary king is I'm using these films to checkmate the opposition. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's what the king does. So so that's what I call myself. But yeah, the imagination is the most powerful thing that we have. If you tap into that, that frees yourself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that causes you back to what we were talking about, self-love. You know what I'm saying? That causes you to love yourself because now if there's some imperfections that you may not be comfortable with, you can recreate that.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Really good.
You can recreate that. You can go back and process that and say, no, I don't like this. Let me recreate that. And that's one of the things we talk about in the film. We talk about the trauma that our race has endured. Unlike any other race on this planet. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about black people and where we are and why black people don't love black people, we have to first understand the narrative of black people that we've journeyed through,
Right.
and guess what? We still here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But you talk, and one thing, you know, you hear people talk about the trauma, right? But in that trauma, there's also healing.
Exactly.
You know, on the other side of pain,
Yeah.
there's also healing on the other side of that trauma,
Yeah, yeah.
which, you know, exposes a certain greatness.
That's good.
Which is why we're still here.
Yes.
Because what we've been through as a group of people, we shouldn't even be here.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't even
And
be
I think,
here.
like you said, just taking that time to love ourselves, because the more we love ourselves, the more we can love our people. And it seems like, you know, the higher I go, the more I realize, you know, that I need to extend grace, because I need grace. I need mercy. I need compassion. I need understanding. And I think just realizing, hey, we're all trying to figure it out. Most people are not here trying to be malicious. Most people are here because they're just trying to make it. Some of them know what to do, some of them don't know what to do. So I know we all feel that responsibility to say, hey, if God has blessed us, I want to help empower another brother, another sister, to let you know that God can empower you, and then also to extend that mercy and that grace. So Rick, I just want to thank you so much for being on today. This was a really great conversation that I know people are going to watch and hopefully check out the film. Be one, okay?
And come to the event.
Come to the event in August, for sure. Come to that event. But thank you so much. You made us tap into, we pulled out Thump Thattis.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Exactly. Thump that.
We pulled that out. We pulled that out.
Yes.
But guys, thanks so much for watching today. We want to make sure that you continue to share this with other people. Hit that subscribe button right there. Smash that button. The Well Chat. Follow us on Instagram and also YouTube. Again, Rick, thanks so much for having us. And guys, until next time, we'll see you later.